Hello, reacting new video. Today we're going to take a look at the Color Cup and the top 8 teams that are basically built for this cup here. Going to be an interesting cup. Actually, I think it's going to be a decent cup, maybe better than Great League right now. I think a lot of people are a little bit, sick about Great League, and I definitely understand that. Me too here as well. But this cup looks a little bit interesting. I know it's a little bit weird. I'm not too sure how good it's actually going to be. Already uploaded a video earlier where I showcased a team for this cup in some friendlies, which was really cool, so check that out if you haven't already. But let's take a look at the meta real quick. We're going to have a meta that's mainly focused around Trevenant and Toxapex. This is like the core that you kind of want to counter. It's difficult to play something that's not having those two Pokemon in there. We still have some teams, of course, without those. We have also some more spicier teams coming up as well. But those are going to be the main meta Pokemon. Toxapex, the bulkiest Pokemon in the cup, most likely. Very strong. Just outbulks nearly everything there. Every neutral matchup you're going to win with this Pokemon. Trevenant, on the other hand, is just very good with the coverage right now. There's not really a lot that counters it, like Charizard you can use, but then again, everything that counters Trevenant gets basically destroyed by the Toxapex here, and the other way around as well. If you see here, for example, Toxapex lose to Togedemaru, to Swampert, to Galvantula. Other than Zapdos, you will be able to basically beat everything hard with your Trevenant, and same goes here, you beat the Abomasnow or the Charizard pretty hard with the Toxapex, so that's a very good core, which you're going to encounter the entire time. But they're cool core breakers as well, like Abomasnow, like the Zapdos. Victini going to be a fun one. Ferrothorn has a lot of play in this meta. Mantine, not too sure about this Pokemon. Pretty decent, very bulky, of course, has the same bulk as Skarmory, but I feel like Pelipper might be a little bit better. Swampert, very good Pokemon as well in this meta to counter the Toxapex. Shiftry is finally pretty decent, which is kind of cool. I like Shiftry. I haven't really used this Pokemon for a longer, so definitely expect a video about this Pokemon. Galvantula is still very decent here. Pachirisu, if you have one, which most people don't have one. The normal Stunfisk is pretty decent. Charizard still can do something. Zapdos definitely normal, and Shadow version amazing. Here Pelipper as well, pretty high up. But you see here, for example, the score doesn't go like too low pretty fast, which is basically telling me that the meta is pretty consistent and pretty like bright, basically. Like, there are a lot of Pokemon that you can use, which is kind of nice. Lantern as well, going to be very good to counter those Toxapex. But yeah, that's going to be it for the teams. Warren, by the way, is also really decent for the teams. For the meta, let's go right into the teams. The first team here, of course, has to be around the core of the Trevenant plus the Toxapex. It's going to be a very strong core that you're going to encounter the entire time in this cup. We're going to have some core breaker though for this core on our team here. We have 3 electric types that you can potentially use as well, which all break the core of those two Pokemon. Kinda, you have the Ampharos here, which has access to Thunder Punch as well as Brutal Swing, destroying both of the Pokemon here. We're going to have the Galvantula having access to an electric type move with Discharge against the potential Toxapex, as well as having Lunge for coverage for grass types. And then also we have, of course, the Pokemon that I already showcased earlier, which is going to be the Zapdos, which you can also use as a lead. If you didn't see my video earlier about this Pokemon, definitely check that one out. It was a lot of fun to play this, but I would expect that we might see some Abomasnow as well coming up, and then might be a little bit tricky to play it like this. Really depends on how the meta is going to be. Like, I didn't encounter an Abomasnow yet with this like setup or whatever, but we will see how this meta is going to be. Let's go into the next team. If this core works one way, it of course also works the other way, as we're going to have here a team with basically 2 grass types in the back. Really depends on what you want to run here. You can also use the Tropius as a Say Swap, you can use the Shiftry as a Say Swap, you can use the Trevenant as a Say Swap, you can use the Gourgeist as a Say Swap. If you run Gourgeist, you should also have the Trevenant in the back. Basically, Gourgeist is only really here to bait out a potential answer for Trevenant, so you're going to be able to sweep endgame with Trevenant. This is the main idea behind this Pokemon here, because you have the same typing. Gourgeist in general is just the worst Trevenant, so that's why you kind of want to use it there. Shiftry going to be an interesting Pokemon for this meta. Don't know really where I would want to run it right now. The thing is, Shiftry is very squishy, so maybe it's a good closer here as well, which you could use. Say Swap also should work out pretty well, but like, it really depends on what you want to do. As a Say Swap, you're most likely going to get like shield advantage with this Pokemon because it does so much damage against the meta. But otherwise, definitely a cool like idea here, but this is going to be the main meta team. Let's go for some more interesting stuff now. The next team are going to be more of a fun team here, just showcasing some ones that you can also run it in general as core breakers. For example, Shiftry, of course, as said before, going going to be able to destroy Trevenant. Trevenant going to be a very common lead in this meta right now. Definitely going to expect this a lot of time in this lead. So as soon as you face a Trevenant, you might be able to have a great time then. Otherwise, we have here Victini as a Say-Swap that you can potentially use, which is going to be able to resist like counter, for example, which you don't really want to face with your lead here, which has actually a really cool role in the meta as well, being able to go for V-Create to destroy Trevenant, as well as having access to Psychic to destroy the Toxapex is a very cool Pokemon to use here. Then of course we have the main core breaker Zapdos, as well as some more bulk in the back if you want to play some bulk with this team here, otherwise it would be very squishy. But yeah, this team should work out pretty well, as well as if you run the Toxapex in the back, you're going to have a great time to bait out a potential Swampert with your Victini, so you might be able to even get some counters out for the Toxapex before you have to basically finish off the game with that Pokemon. The next team here going to be again kinda with a meta core, to be fair, like it's, yeah, Trevenant plus the Toxapex are just very good Pokemon in the current meta. But also, you kind of want to showcase here that you can use Ferrothorn in this meta, which is going to be a very good one. Yes, you have a double grass team here, basically, a weak to fire. But I don't really expect many fire-type Pokemon in this meta, so I think it should be fine. And Victini lies to the Trevenant still, so like it should be a definitely fine one. But the main focus here would be also the Walrein, because Walrein has access to the moves Icicle Spear, which would be super effective against Trevenant, as well as Earthquake, which would be super effective against the Toxapex. So this Pokemon can be a pretty decent core breaker for those Pokemon as well. So if you have a Walrein, it might be time again for this Pokemon to have some play here. The next team going to be actually a very fun one here. We're going to have the Swampert or the Whiscash in lead. I would prefer, of course, the Swampert, but if you don't have a Swampert, Whiscash is also kind of fine here. Might be even a little bit better because it's better against Toxapex, so that's definitely an advantage here. Say swaps, we're going to have either the Pelipper or the Mantine here, both have the same typing. I prefer the Pelipper because you have access to the move Hurricane, which will be able to hit potential Toxapex that might want to swap in there after seeing your lead, and you will be able to hit it a little bit harder with that and maybe even be able to get some shields. Otherwise, you're going to have in the back here two Pokemon that are really fun, most likely, and some fire types. Fire types are not really the most common ones, most likely in this meta, but both of them have a lot of play. And actually, if you go ahead and use Swampert, Pelipper, and the Cast Form, you have a triple Hoenn team, which is kind of funny. But yeah, this team should work out pretty well. You're going to be able to, of course, counter the Trevenant with those Fire-type Pokemon in the back, as well as both of them would learn Solar Beam, which would be funny for some Water-type Pokemon, but also the Ninetales would learn Psyshock, which might be a little bit better, or Overheat, which also would work out pretty well. But yeah, like, this team should definitely work out pretty well. If you run Ninetales, please run the Shadow version, it's definitely way better. But for Cast Form is just the bulkier version. The next team you're going to be kinda the same, but just the other way around. We're going to have here the lead of a fire type, which might be interesting, as we're going to encounter a lot of Pokemon like the Trevenant, like an Abomasnow in the lead, as well as something like a Zapdos, which you would be able to farm down in the 2-shield scenario, which would be very good for your team in general. And as you're going to lose against Toxapex in the lead here, we're going to have a Say-Swap that's pretty neutral against it. If you have the Pelipper, you're going to also be able to deal with the Trevenant, but also with the Jellicent, which might be pretty decent after this last update. This will also be able to deal with the Toxapex, as well as you're going to be able to, with some energy advantage, at least get a shield advantage against opponents' Trevenants. So Jellicent might be also an interesting one to take a look at. Then again, Swampert and Whiscash in the back as the hard walls for the Toxapex. Really decent team, I think, should work out pretty well. Let's go into the next one. Next team you're going to be either the Lantern or Ferrothorn in the lead. Both have the same kind of objective. You kind of want to destroy those other water-type Pokemon. You might be even a little bit better off with the Ferrothorn. We're going to have a Say-Swap here of the Charizard, trying to get out those water-type Pokemon while still having at least some damage output there with the Wing Attack, as well as like Dragon Claw or even the Blast Burn. And then we're going to try to set up another fire type in the back, and you can either go for something like the Talonflame to sweep endgame with the Flame Charge boost, which I think is actually a very valid point for this meta right now. Or you're gonna go ahead and go for the Salazzle to debuff the opponent, which is also a funny one. There are more fire types. You can use the fire types that you had before, like the Cast Form. Like Cast Form definitely also has a lot of play here. Really depends on what you want to run here, but I think Double Fire like this, especially with Ferrothorn in the lead, will be a very fun one to take a look at. The final team are going to be around the Abomasnow, because you had to have a team with Abomasnow. This Pokemon is very decent in this current meta. This will be able to beat, of course, the Trevenant, but also other flying types like the Zapdos, which you're going to encounter a lot of times, most likely as well. So this definitely has this place in the meta. We're going to have the Say-Swap of the Pelipper being able to basically resist like counter and also fire type moves, which is the main issues for this Pokemon. And then we have the Swampert to answer especially the Toxapex in the back here. That's going to be it for this video. Are you going to play the Color Cup? I think it has a lot of potential. I think it's going to be a fun one to play in. Most likely way better than the Great League. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next one. Have a great rest of your day. Bye, and leave a like.